Welcome back to the channel, guys. Ark Survival Ascended is right around the corner, so in today's video, I want to talk about things that every player needs to know before officially ascending. Alrighty, so diving right in, let's talk about the launch date, the pre-order status, and pre-loading times for Ark Survival Ascended. Unfortunately, just to rip the band-aid right off the bat, we do not have any official release date, at least that is not posted publicly. The developers have mentioned several times through community crunches and through things like the Discord community for Ark that the game is set to release towards the end of October, and that is it. We literally have no additional information. It could be next week, it could be 2 weeks from now, and heck, it could even be October 31st. Either way, there is not an official public date for when the game is going to launch. And in addition, when it comes to pre-ordering and pre-loading for Ark Survival Ascended, the developers mentioned in the most recent community crunch that they simply have no plans to incorporate this for Ascended's release. They literally state here, as you can see on screen, that the only thing that's going to happen is that the game will launch and go live when it is available for players to play and when it is ready. So once again, they're staying really tight-lipped here when it comes to the official release date, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be pushing a whole lot of hype or ads advertising the official launch of the game until the game is available. And to be honest with you guys, this is kind of concerning because they have not released any information on the official launch date for the game besides just towards the end of October, and they're being really tight-lipped with it, which makes me assume that the date actually might be tentative and that there's a possibility that the game might not even officially launch in October 2023. I really hope that it does, just like every other player, but because they're being so tight-lipped here and they haven't done any marketing push really besides these community crunches leading up to the official launch, it's potentially that it's not even going to be coming. But let's just say they do meet the mark here and the game does officially launch by the end of October. All you need to know here is a couple of things. It's going to be a surprise launch, so clearly nobody's going to know when it's officially going to be here. They're going to drop the trailer and they're going to officially state, hey, guess what? The game's available for purchase and download, and you can jump in and play today. Additionally, there'll be no preloading times for the game, so you can't preload the game prior to its official release because, well, they haven't dropped a release date. And third thing here, there'll be no pre-ordering status. They said here, as you saw in the community crunch, that the game will be available for purchase as soon as it's available to play and it's ready. Alrighty, next I want to talk about crossplay and cross progression. Currently, the developers have announced that Ark Survival Ascended will be launching for Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 5, Windows PC, and Steam. However, at the moment, they did state that the Xbox and PlayStation and Windows PC versions will all be able to play on the exact same server, leaving Steam version of Ark Survival Ascended to be standalone on its own servers. Now, what's really important for every player to understand, especially new people diving into Ark Survival Ascended, is that you have to own the same version that your friends do if you are looking to play together on day one. So for example, if you specifically want to play the Steam version of Ark Survival Ascended, you download it via the Steam client, your friends also have to do the exact same thing. If your friend that is playing on the PlayStation 5, for instance, wants to play with you, well then either you have to buy the PlayStation 5 version of Ark Survival Ascended, or your friend will then have to buy the Steam version in order for you guys to join up and play together, at least here on day one. And it's also worth mentioning the developers did mention in the latest community crunch that roughly around December 2023, they do have a plan to actually merge all these servers together, so then that way a player on Steam can play with their friend that is currently playing on Xbox or PS5. However, I wouldn't hold your breath on this promise because it's very tentative at the moment, and obviously as development continues, things can be pushed off, and in the past we've seen tons of promises from Wildcard and even Snail Games on similar topics with, Ark Survival Evolved that they just simply didn't meet the mark on. So I would take it with a grain of salt currently at the moment, but just know the developers do hope, or at least plan, to implement this in the future. Just simply make sure that you and your friends are all playing on the exact same version, especially if you want to play together on day one. And now, speaking of servers, let's talk about private servers and server cap size. In the most recent community crunch for Ark Survival Ascended, the developers did state that the official servers will only hold a maximum of 70 players, just like it did with Ark Survival Evolved. Their main focus currently is to present a really polished gaming experience for these 70 players, and in the future they are looking to, if hardware allows it, for them to increase the maximum player count to 100 plus. However, just note that currently there's only a total of 70 players able to be had on one single official server. And now keep in mind, this is only for official servers. This is not not for player-hosted or non-dedicated servers. Those still have the ability to change the settings and allow 100+ people to join their server. However, just note the developers did mention you might need to adjust the settings down a little bit, things like rendering distance or field of view, things like that, in order for you to make the private servers run a little smoother. And speaking of private servers, we still have yet to have a full-on answer from the developers because they did not cover it in this community crunch or this Q&A or even in the Discord from what I could find on what exactly the exclusivity clause is for private servers and renting them. Is it only truly going to be from Nitrado, meaning people like G-Portal, for instance, won't have the ability to sell rentable servers for Ark Survival Ascended? Or does this mean that Nitrado will only have exclusivity for a short period and then they'll eventually come to G-Portal or other companies? We simply don't know at the moment. All we know is that it has been announced in the past, or at least leaked, that Nitrado will have some sort of exclusivity when it comes to the Ark Survival Ascended private servers. If you happen to know any information, drop it down below in the comment section because I am very curious to see what their plan is going forward. Now, the next big thing to note is the map and items that we can expect on day one of Ark Survival Ascended. In the recent community crunch, they confirmed that the only map available for players to play on at the time of its release here in October 2023 is the island map. If you guys know from Ark Survival Evolved that this island map was the very first map that the game introduced, and this will be the very first map that Ascended will introduce. The developers do actually plan to release the additional maps as time goes on via their roadmap, but at the current official day one launch, the island is going to be all that's available. However, keep in mind that even though we only have the island map, they're actually planning on bringing every single item that officially launched on the island map, including things that have launched 6 to a year, if not multiple years later. And to give you guys some examples, rafts will be available on day one for players to craft, build, and sail across the island, and even specific dinos like the Rhino-Nada that will be available for players to hunt down and tame. Unfortunately, this does also mean, though, that cryopods will not be available day one on the island map because cryopods were not available for the island and they were introduced when a brand new map was introduced to the game. At least that's how it was back in Ark Survival Evolved, and it looks like they're trying to stay true to that here for Ark Survival Ascended. Though keep in mind, developers did mention that they do have a plan to add the cryopods in the future, so they're not gone from the game forever. They just won't be available here for day one. And that's officially going to wrap up our video for today on Ark Survival Ascended. You guys let me know what your thoughts are down below on all these changes, all this information. Also, let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas or questions for videos that you would like me to cover, because I am looking to make some content between now and the game's official launch, which is hopefully by the end of October. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything Ark Survival related. And with that being said, guys, as always, I'll see ya on the next one.